Hello, good morning, and welcome to Serious Social Live. I am here streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook from our gorgeous offices in Kingston. Well, I'm actually in Katie's office. And I must say, for those of us who are venturing into the office today, we're certainly feeling brave. We're lucky because we've got quite a big office, and that means that we can distance when we come in. And as courage is something that we really value as a team, in these times of transition, as we're starting to come back to offices, I must say it gives us an opportunity to demonstrate bravery. And we think that a lot of brands need to be brave on social too. For some brands who are maybe as old as the hills, or they're used to having a tradition of formality, it might be easy to see the path that their bravery needs to take. Perhaps they have to change perception, or they have some new leaders coming in, or it's really about appealing demographic in order to keep growing. But for others, bravery is really about standing out from the crowd, what we like to call breaking the social boring. There's no excuse anymore for that wallpaper, bland content going out on social media feeds. And then it happens to have no engagement or little to no engagement. There's no excuse for it, but it does still happen. Bravery is described as courageous behavior or character. And it's about confronting frightening things and facing our fears. As humans, we need to do this to overcome obstacles in our lives. So if for brands, we need to think about the obstacles being stunted business growth, lagging behind competitors, or simply being the new brand on the block, we therefore need to find ways for brands to be brave. How do we do that? Well, by sparking debate, by cutting away the bounds of the traditional, we've always done it like that, thinking of grown-up pants and avoiding speaking about taboos. So in today's Serious Social, I wanted to look at how we and some big brands encourage bravery. Do ask any questions, and in the comments, I will pick up on them as we come to the end of the stream, and then I can answer those for you. First example, I'd like to thank The Drum, whose recent article included tackling taboos, and they talked about the Britain Get Talking campaign, which ITV launched alongside Mind and Young Minds charities to promote mental wellness. Stopping in the middle of a high-energy TV show like Britain's Got Talent and going silent, our tellies were very quiet, and we were shown shots of the backstage crew holding up signs saying, "Use our silence to talk to each other." What followed was a collaborative advert including brands like Gillette, Sayat, and Oral-B. And that was a silent ad, which really does break a lot of the telly ad traditions. What's tricky for me about this campaign is the slight disconnect that that campaign has with some of the shows that ITV produce. Now, through COVID, a lot of the ITV celebs and presenters have encouraged us to make sure that we're talking about our mental health and exploring it and breaking that taboo. And this is a much, much deeper topic than I'll go into today, but there has been widespread criticism around some of the shows like X Factor, Jeremy Kyle, and Love Island, and things like that. And some of them have been cancelled. So as brands take steps to be brave and tackle taboos, the problems around some of these shows aren't really fixed. So my first recommendation is, by all means, make sure that you're talking about what you want to debate or change in your sector or even the world, but take a look at yourselves too. One of the brands we've worked with did just that, and as a result, I think that we broke some boundaries and changed some perceptions of the brand as well. So, quick spot test. When I say the brand Auto Trader, what does that conjure up in your mind? Is it maybe the old paper publication that you used to pick up in newsagents and take a look through to find your secondhand car? Or is it maybe their website you might have visited to look for a new car? Or is it nothing at all? Auto Trader briefed us in early 2020 to work with them on a step change for their social content. Research they understood maybe under 35s were less aware of the brand outside the buying cycle, and it kind of fell into that third category of nothing quite conjuring up in somebody's brain. So to change this, we had to look at how we engage with that demographic. And let's be clear, it's a pretty wide demographic. So it's starting right from 17-year-olds who've just started to drive, might be looking for their first car, up into older millennials who might have a house and kids and dogs. So we had to find something that would be a common thread, a common interest. And as you know, at Immediate Future, we like to do our social research. And so we identified a key theme that we could tap into of pop culture. And on top of that, of humour. Many and most social media users are really on there for entertainment, to relax, just watch some funny content and just sort of kind of kill some time, really. So to look at what we had to do, we had to attract a younger audience, we had to make a step change in their content, and we had to generate engagement. So we needed to look for an idea that was completely different from their current output, and which, to be fair, was a lot around car reviews. Makes total sense, which are a great production value and really engaging, but perhaps not generating quite the eyeballs that they wanted for that younger audience who were less aware of the brand itself, and probably not those people who would be self-confessed petrol heads. When we landed on the idea for This Is Not a Drag Race, we were mixing pop culture with humour. And at the time that we were looking at that idea, we were discovering that Auto Trader have a really strong LGBTQ+ guild in-house. So they also participate in things like Manchester Pride. So collaboratively with the Auto Trader team, we felt really secure in broaching this topic and looking at it. And that covers my first recommendation. But then during the process, we engaged with a drag consultant, the fabulous Cheddar Gorgeous, who gave us advice and guidance on the drag scene. So was this idea going to fly with the community? And like, were we going to offend? Were we going to step on any toes? But more than that, how could we really make the content sing, or at the very least, lip sync? Cheddar was amazing, gave us lots of great advice. So that's my second recommendation, is that if you're outside of your comfort zone or knowledge, engage outside parties. There's just absolutely no sense in not asking for help and then messing it up. So make sure that you do that. On to my third example, which the recommendation for here is tied into the second, really. If you're engaging with your audience and consulting with people who understand your audience, you should be able to avoid stereotyping. There are lots of examples that I could call to mind for this, and a lot of them centre around gender. So when a clothing brand launches a new kids' TV t-shirt, and perhaps they put a slogan on it for boys that says "Future CEO" and a slogan on it for girls that says "Ready for my selfie," you can bet your bottom dollar they will be called out on social for that. A couple of years ago, we worked on a social campaign supporting Princess Cruise's appearance in the TV show The Cruise. And when an episode aired featuring a female captain navigating a very large ship through a tricky situation, she herself, the captain herself, turned to the camera and wryly asked, "What could possibly go wrong?" And now the easy option would be to jump on that joke, support the stereotype, and have a laugh about female drivers. But instead, we posted a message of support. Screw the stereotype. She's trained to do this, and she absolutely excelled in it. For my fourth recommendation, I want to talk about walking the walk. The IF team worked with lastminute.com on a campaign around European travel, which could have been straightforward, except that it was at the time of the Brexit vote. So one of the biggest debates in UK history, probably, and likely to cause significant travel disruption. They were able to be brave and not shy away from it. And in fact, we created a campaign that poked a stick and poked fun at that debate, and created a comedy news style campaign centered on slapstick and puns. To brie or not to brie was the question. And would we be drinking Heineken or Byneken? The brand was really brave and went with it, and it paid off. We won an award, and the CPC was so low on Twitter, we basically broke the ad system. More recently, a brand that I've seen noticed going beyond sort of that kind of content is Bodyform. So for a long time, I think probably the catchy jingle on the Bodyform ads might have been made some fun of. But in recent years, there's been a real shift in the way that we market these kind of products. So fast forward from that jingle on the TV ad to 2020, and you'll find Bodyform's social media feed full of support for charities, education about sexual health, and even some expertly knitted nunnies. But then they went further than that. So in July 2020, they launched an animated film which shied away from absolutely nothing when it came to the challenges that their audience face. For me, it was quite an emotional watch, and you can see that similar response across their social media channels. They got great engagement, and it really showed that they understood the challenges faced. By making this, they moved from talking the talk, so supportive messages, to really walking the walk as a brand. So then my final tip is just to make sure, if you follow the rest of the advice, that you execute your vision properly. Check that your hashtag isn't in use by some other company that doesn't chime with your brand values. Make sure that you have gone and checked your links and your spelling and your sequence of posts. Don't end up like the band Steps this week, who went out on Instagram and other social channels, posted a series of videos using the letters of the word steps, which were beautiful for their upcoming tour. But unfortunately, on Instagram, they posted it in the wrong order. So the grid read Spets. Not ideal, and it's since been taken down. So falling at the final hurdle of something that you're doing that's really brave is the absolute worst. It is not an easy task overcoming these obstacles and the possible pitfalls. We understand that, and we have all the guidance to help support you through it. So I would encourage everyone to face their fears. I'm just going to have a quick look now, see if there are any comments on the post. I can't see any questions, but you can obviously ask us questions, get in touch at a later date. You can do that through social media, ping us on Twitter, anything you like. So really, thank you for tuning in to today's live stream from the office. There will be more next week. Best practice and tips with Katie and CJ are going to be online actually, which is a real treat. And you can catch up on all of our Serious Social episodes across our social media channels and as a podcast. Bye, see you soon.